I don't believe it. So they say that, so remember this. So they said, Mike Pence can't do anything. Then right after this whole event, they started working so that they could make what they said true. Because the truth is, he could have sent it back to the state legislatures. But Thomas Jefferson had the same exact problem in the early 1800s with Georgia, which was unable to properly count its votes. Hear ye, the great state of Georgia is unable to properly count our votes. Thomas Jefferson said, oh, we're going to take your votes. We're not sending them back, we're taking them. And he took the votes, and they got elected, he and his wonderful president. So I said to Mike, if you do this, you can be Thomas Jefferson. And then after it all went down, I looked at him one day and I said, Mike, hate to say this, but you're no Thomas Jefferson.
Donald Trump was the keynote speaker at the Faith and Freedom Conference in Nashville, Tennessee, and surprisingly, I guess, I'm not sure how I could possibly still be surprised here. After that Thursday's hearings where they detailed exactly how he called out and targeted his people to go and try to murder Mike Pence for not doing exactly what he then reiterated just there that he said he did tell him to do, which was illegal and wrong and impossible for him to do. He retold the story again as if this was something that Mike Pence should have and could have done, and that also Donald Trump had nothing to do with this entire situation that we saw go down. That's the first part about this whole thing. He went through a multitude of other things that made no sense and that didn't connect to each other. But the one thing I want to point out as we just assess this first part is that was off of a teleprompter. That wasn't off the cuff. I mean, maybe because the teleprompter's off the side and he's kind of looking this way. I was like, he's kind of reading it, but not completely. I'm not sure if he said, here, give me an outline and I'm gonna riff on this because I need to know where I'm going. I don't know. But maybe he wasn't, I hope he wasn't. But if that was written, I'm not sure what the plan is in trying to defend this with his 12-page letters and his truths pushing back on things. But as I said, he went through a bunch of different things. He also talked about pardoning the January 6th defendants if he retakes the presidency. Something else he probably should shut up about. Watch.
January 6th defendants are having their lives totally destroyed and being treated worse than terrorists and murderers, despite most being charged with parading through the Capitol. Most people should not be treated the way they're being treated. And if I become president someday, if I decide to do it, I will be looking at them very, very seriously for pardons, very, very seriously. They've been treated very unfairly.
So twofold there to try and act like and keep people like Ron DeSantis at bay, saying if I possibly could run for president, so don't say anything, you guys, don't announce it all. That's the one point about that. The second point is then continue to keep his idiotic MAGA minions hanging on to every word going, he's gonna pardon us, he's gonna pardon us. They haven't learned yet. He said that 4 other times. He said that when he was running, hey, I'll pay your bills. He said that back in 2015 and he's still saying it and they're still listening to it. That's his approach. He knows he's got suckers.
Yeah, so there's two parts of the story. One is, wow, after watching those hearings, we know he's watching the hearings because he's doing angry tweets about it. I'm not gonna call them truths, okay? Those are stupid Truth Social platform. Okay, and so he watches that where they're chanting, hang Mike Pence, and they're beating the crap out of cops, etc. He sees all that and he says, you're just parading around. I can't wait to pardon them. He just says it, he doesn't care. He's like, oh, they were gonna kill my vice president. And instead of coming out and going, well, look, I didn't intend for them to murder my own vice president, that's ridiculous. Of course they shouldn't have done that, but hey, blah, blah. No, he's like, Mike Pence, I'm very disappointed in him. I mean, I don't know what should happen to Mike Pence, but I just saw you guys chanting about hanging him. And I'm telling you, I'm still very disappointed in him. He's just a total utter monster. But look, he represents the Republican Party. He's at a Faith and Freedom Conference. This is what they think Christianity is about. They're like, oh, he's looking to physically harm his vice president again. Yes, that's what Jesus would want. Maybe you guys should crucify him. I mean, they're not Christians. They're not moral. They're the most immoral people in the world. Now to the lies. So he says, so they say, they do these hearings and they say now all of a sudden they say Pence could have sent it back. No, they said if Pence sent it back, it would be to fake electors and that would have been an insurrection and a coup against democracy. They didn't say he could do it and it would be legal. They said if he did it, it would have been illegal. And Trump's like, so you're saying he could have done it? Literally, you just saw it with your own eyes. That's amazing. Then the Thomas Jefferson thing. Now I knew it's a lie. Why? Because it came out of Donald Trump's mouth, right? But I bothered to fact check it, okay? I don't bother if it's like Hugo Chavez's ghost stole the election. Well, how am I gonna fact check whether Hugo Chavez actually has a ghost and he actually made a deal, the ghost made a deal with Dominion? How am I gonna fact check, has the Kraken actually been released? Has there been massive dumps? I don't know, these are, so like the first couple of times they mentioned some lunatic conspiracy theory, I let it go. If they do it enough times, I'm like, God damn it, all right. So I looked up Thomas Jefferson. You're gonna be shocked to find out it's the exact opposite of what Trump is claiming. So Thomas Jefferson had an issue with Georgia when he was the vice president and he's counting votes, not to be vice president, but to be president. Every part of the story he said is wrong. And Georgia's ballots were put in a format that was different than the other states. But the part he didn't tell you is no one objected to it. The senators from Georgia were on the other side. They had voted for Adams and they said it's totally fine. Everybody from Georgia, it was super clear that Georgia had voted for Jefferson. They just put it in a different place. No one at all objected, even though back then things were vicious. I mean, they hated each other, right? No one disputed that Jefferson had won. He just made that up. He made it up completely. But it turns out, as with everything with Trump, there's an extra layer of a lie. It turns out Vermont had made the similar mistake, but worse, in the election before, and Jefferson was also presiding as the vice president over that one. And that election they lost. They lost to Adams, right? And Vermont could have swung the election to Jefferson. And he's like, oh no, that's a procedural formatting mistake. No, Adams won. So Jefferson didn't do at all what he wanted Pence to do. Jefferson did the opposite. He's like, no, I don't care where it was on the ballot and whatever BS excuse you have. I didn't win, Adams, and he hated Adams. He hated him. And he's like, yeah, but he won. So that story is 200% false, Jackson.
Yeah, but of course his base is gonna go around telling like, you know, this happened in 17, whatever it is, they're definitely gonna do that. But it doesn't matter what Donald Trump, what conference or what event he's speaking at, he's gonna find a way to make it all about himself as he always does. But I just want to point out the irony of history lessons from Donald Trump, the man who they had to, give him one-page notes and giant pictures and shapes and stuff like that because he absolutely couldn't concentrate. I mean, this guy is just, he is truly the spirit of the Republican Party, like you said, but in a lot of ways, he's just the karma of the United States. Because no matter how ridiculous he is, look at him steamrolling right ahead to 2024. So.
You guys looking for some more irony? Let's jump down 2 slots down. You guys go to 2, 3, 4, I believe. This Trump is claiming that politics have now become the left's religion. More irony there. Let's go check this one out.
For the radical left, politics has become their religion. It has warped their sense of right and wrong. They don't have a sense of right and wrong. True and false, good and evil.
Literally everything is upside down on his head. It just doesn't matter. It's actually easy. It's take whatever they're doing and just switch names. Just switch the 2 names and just say, oh yeah, that's what Democrats are doing, when exactly what he's doing is right in front of everyone's face. And lastly, again, he keeps teasing this 2024 run because he again wants to keep any potential competitors at bay for as long as possible. One more, let's watch.
Would anybody like me to run for president?
The dictatorial energy is definitely real. This is the same guy who said he would go back to Mar-a-Lago a lot of times just to get people to applaud and cheer for him. Or when he's out in the, he knows people out in the courtyard or whatever, he comes out and goes, he just needs it. He needs it.
Yeah, I mean, my favorite story about that is that he built 3 different casinos in Atlantic City when every advisor told him they'll cannibalize each other. Every one of them will go bankrupt. He's like, yeah, but I like to see Trump on all the buildings, his big name. So he's a pathetic child. But to Jackson's earlier point, this is who the Republican Party is. I mean, and every word is projection. You know, it's now their party is their religion. You're at a faith and freedom event, and all you're talking about is hate, right? And let's hate trans people, let's hate black people, let's raid the Capitol, let's hang Mike Pence. I mean, you raw dog porn stars. What family values? What religion? What are you talking about? Your party's filled with predators. And you yourself knew that Jeffrey Epstein liked girls young. You said it out loud. You wished his co-conspirator, the biggest groomer in the country, well, because she's your really good friend. And then you're saying, and all the religious voters in America, the right-wing evangelicals, they're like, religion? What name so? I don't care about Christianity. Let's attack. Who are we attacking? Oh, I love hate. No, hate is their religion. And then he's like, the Democrats think that's their religion. And by the way, based on what? Doesn't even bother to state it. Doesn't matter. The Republican voters, they don't care about facts. They don't care about your stinking logic. All they want is hate, 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 hate. And if you want dumbass hate, Trump's your guy. To be fair to them.
Yeah, and this really it just reminds me of Elon Musk recently talking about how he's voting Republican now because the Democrats are the party of hate. Like, oh really? Yep. Hey, they just talk about he's going to be voting for Ron DeSantis, but it's just crazy to look at him just absolutely loving that like a little kid, just literally looking out at the crowd at all the people cheering his name, letting it go on and on and on. And again, just the right wing is clearly far more politicized, far more radicalized than the left in every way that can be imagined, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They don't care about reality.
Because he activates all their demons, right? He gets them riled up and ready to fight, right? Our side's like, we promised a bunch of things we of course aren't gonna do. And the parliamentarian says no. And where the most important thing in the country is filibuster. And so our side is impotent, and their side is a raging, like immoral monster.
Ruthless.
And ruthless, yeah. In that fight, who do you think is gonna win? I mean, because he was such a monster. We barely squeaked it out last time by 43,000 votes in 3 swing states. Otherwise, Trump would have won. And this time, Biden is in much worse shape. And the Democrats are walking right into that ambush like, hey, aren't we so good? Let's attack progressives.
Then that way, this mob will actually start liking us.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.